1 minute each. Thank you.
So I'm here to speak about the sexual abuse issues in this school district. Superintendent Martin has failed to address them. She at one point said she would do everything in her power to protect children, but she's broken that promise over and over again. And you read the media stories, you see the television stories, and yet again, there's another educator misconduct news story in our local media. And it's time for her to do something about the educator misconduct. She needs to set up so people understand what type of behavior is acceptable and what is not acceptable. I've talked to her about it many times. We had many meetings about it, and it still hasn't happened. Children continue to be abused in our school system, and Superintendent Martin needs to take a concrete step to do something instead of just hiding in the second floor pink palace.
Next.
Hi, my name is Ginny Curran. I am on the core leadership team for Concerned Parents of San Diego. I'm a 38-year teacher, peer coach, staff developer with this district, now retired. I love my job. I would have done it for free, but don't tell anybody that. I enjoyed the challenge of preparing lessons that were just right for the students' level of readiness for their material. Cindy Martin, Kevin Beiser, Mike McQuarrie, Richard Barrera, and Sharon Whitehurst-Payne, you all did the same challenge. You were all teachers. You enjoyed that same challenge, being sure that your students were prepared to take the next step in their learning. One of the tools we used back in the day was the KWL format. I'm sure every one of you recognizes this. That's why I was going to bring a big chart, and I thought, no, they don't need that. The first thing we would do is find out what the student already knows about the language, and then you ask the students what questions they would have, and then you record their learning. And the point is that they don't know anything about gender in 6th grade yet.
Thank you.
So it's not right at their level.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good evening, I'm Opal Elgin, and I work as a sexual assault victim advocate. And we all understand that children, their minds are sponges they take in the information and then they put out. On that basis, 66% of boys and 40% of girls want to perform the sexual acts that they are seeing. Now, the videos that you've put on your website for learning has not been conducive to this information influx. 932 adult sex addicts were studied. Of that, 90% of men and 77% of women say that porn was definitely an added factor as to why they became sex addicts. In that time frame, from 1986 to 2005, there was a yearly study that was conducted that found that 63% of women suffered from sexual abuse by a family member, also reported sexual assault after the age of 14. In this, adolescents that were raped or...
Thank you.
Adolescents that were raped during the first year of college, those with prior history of sexual victimization, are 1,000% more likely to be re-victimized. A child who is victim of prolonged sexual abuse usually develops low self-esteem, feeling the worthlessness and abnormal or distorted view of sex. Your video on sexual harassment showed 3 sexual assaults occurring, but you called it harassment because the video states that they can tell the perpetrator to stop. The school hasn't even solidified a handle on bullying. How do you think a child is going to feel comfortable talking to teachers about the worst aspect of sexual abuse when they see these videos? Videos that say it's normal and okay. Videos that say people and acts of porn aren't real. Try to explain that to a child who lives that life each night because the sex trafficking ring has started at the age of 11 or 12 to groom kids for life as slaves. I am Gregory Elgin. Gregory Elgin.
I'm Angie Serrano. I wanted to say congratulations on Holly Drive Charter School and those beautiful schools. So impressive. One thing I saw in that group, of the Holly Drive group, was a happy parent. She clearly felt like she was a part of that group, felt respected and listened to. And a sad fact is that since 2003, San Diego Unified School District has had declining enrollment, nearly 10%. That has to be alarming to you. At the same time, a growing number of parents are choosing alternate education like charter school. How can you reverse this trend? I have a suggestion. Start listening to parents. Okay, I've talked to a lot of parents, and one reason why they're leaving, now listen to me. You have chosen a highly offensive and outrageous sex ed curriculum. Stop ignoring parents. Stop treating them like opponents. Partner with us.
Thank you.
My name is Billy Stewart. I'm a parent. I'm a grandparent. I've lived in San Diego since the 50s. I've seen a lot of things change in the education system in this San Diego County. I know that the children are to be educated based on receiving a diploma to graduate from high school, preparing them for a higher level of education. You have certain requirements that's required by the school district for them to receive that diploma. English language arts, mathematics, physical education, history, social studies, world secular studies. Isn't biblical understanding a part of history also? That's been removed from the curriculum or from the school district. World languages and visual, performing, and practical arts. Will sex education become a subject requirement for our children to receive a diploma? And the diploma would say, I'm a graduate of sex education. Or will it say on that diploma, I'm a graduate of multiple educational understanding?
Thank you,
very, very much.
Do you have all the names?
Good evening. My name is Ashley Beaver. I'm a parent. I'm also a credentialed teacher, and I love public ed. I love it. The law requires that sex ed curriculum is age appropriate. That means typical for the age group. So let's take a look at something for 6th grade, your average 11 or 12-year-old. The topic is introduced, oral sex using a latex barrier. I brought you a picture of one because I thought maybe some of you might not know what it is or how it's used. Let's pause for a moment. What if an 11-year-old doesn't even know what oral sex is? How is it defined in the curriculum? Mouth to genitals, mouth to anus. How much detail is a teacher going to go into in order to properly scaffold this new knowledge or vocabulary? Is an adult going to explain to non-consenting minors that a latex barrier is used to cover the vulva or anus for oral stimulation? This is a casual sex mindset that is going to do more harm than good, and the ramifications long after you're gone. Please put our kids first, all of our kids.
Thank you.
My name is Judy Neufeld Fernandez. I'm an educator and a California credentialed teacher and a former teacher from your district, but had to quit teaching because my kid was abused here. I want you to tell me if you're against human trafficking or for it, because if you are against human trafficking of children, you cannot be for this 3 R's curriculum. An independent inquiry into child sex exploitation in Rotherham, England, 1997 to 2013 found many children being raped raped by multiple perpetrators as young as age 11, trafficked to other towns, abducted, beaten, threatened with guns, etc. Authorities were complacent and assumed the youth were making a lifestyle choice. Parents trying to extract their children as victims, they were arrested because the authorities thought the parents were too uptight and that the kids were just growing up and the parents didn't want to acknowledge it. According to Norman Wells, who analyzed the report, comprehensive sex ed has created in young people the expectation they will have a series of casual sexual relationships within this culture. And it ends up leaving kids more vulnerable to trafficking. And all of our high schools have trafficking. It doesn't work to say you're against trafficking and you support this curriculum. It's not even a curriculum. It's heinous.
This is a hard act to follow.
Good evening. My name is Michael Sexton. I'm just here to remind some of you people about real science. Real science states that there's only male and female. No such thing as there's all these genders here, androgynous, binary, cisgender. I don't even know what a cisgender is. Female is okay. We know what a female is, all right. But all these things are, against science, real science. You all took real science, right? Huh? We can get some NASA scientists in here if we have to show you guys there's only male and female, okay? And it's too much for any young student, okay? We need to stick with real science. Stop the fairy tales, okay? These kids are going to grow up totally corrupt in their minds. Now, another thing is, too, psychiatrists have said many times homosexuality is a mental disease. There's a lot of suicide inside the homosexual community. You got to stop doing this stuff, guys, unless you're insane. Stop it.
Next speaker.
Superintendent Martin, President Whitehurst-Payne, rest of the board. I come before you today as a parent and a husband and a concerned citizen in San Diego. I am in complete opposition of the current sex ed curriculum. I think it is quite astonishing what we're teaching children. I get the pressure that you are under to come in an appliance with the bill that California has put out. However, I think what has been interpreted it's been interpreted very poorly, to say the least. Such ambiguous wording is age appropriate, and I do want to reference something. So the city of San Diego puts out a survey, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and they do that biannually, the most recent one being 2017, the 2019 one is out. Based off the curriculum, the 3R curriculum that's currently in place, and the survey responses that we have gotten back, the things that we're teaching children based off this curriculum, they aren't even aware of yet. So this isn't an introductory, or let me phrase it, this isn't teaching them something they need to learn. This is introducing them to things like anal sex. And so I just want to make sure that that case is stated, because I understand what everyone's attempting to do here, but be sure that you're introducing this, not teaching on it, and the statistics speak for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
So did we hear from Bob Howes, Summer Boger, Brad Jones? Is that you?
Ready? Hi, my name is Bob Howes. I'm 74 years old. I've taught 54,000 people as an educator, and I'm a very influential man in San Diego. In the days of Promise Keepers, I assembled 15,000 men, Christian men, in San Diego on the stadium down here. I can tell you this afternoon I wept. And why? As a 74-year-old man did I weep? I looked at the sex education, and I was embarrassed. And so, am I an activist? No, but I'm an activator. And I can tell you that when I look and see that 126,000 people, parents, 126,000 kids, and only 196 students were excused from what they were being exposed to, I'm online now. So I want to let you know that I've spoken to 971 churches in San Diego. I don't have to fight to get in. I'm welcome. So I'm not an activist, but I want to let you know, and declaring right now, my name is Bob Howes, and I'm going to visit 900 churches, and I'm going to make these people alive.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. I'm Summer Boger. I'm a parent, and I'm also a representative of the Eagle Forum of California. I want to ask you the question, is the so-called consent being taught in direct contradiction to statutory rape? How to sex lessons so that students as young as 11 years old can have pleasurable and safe sexual experiences reinforces sexual activity as a healthy behavior. Yet the research on the adolescent brain clearly shows that sexually stimulating information during adolescence is damaging. Valerie Hubbard, the CEO of WeAscend.org, shares the findings. Compared with their peers, those in sexuality projects were more likely to be engaging in sexual behaviors. 80% of the students in these programs fared either worse or no better than their peers who were not in the program. What is a disservice if we don't emphasize proper use of sexuality and using premature sexual behavior instead of giving them long-term scenarios to marital versus premarital sexual relationships and the outcomes of finances, education, health, safety, and standard of living. I oppose the SHEP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, good evening. Member Beiser, I found it very interesting that when the KIPP SoCal governance structure changed, your main concern was that if they're doing one board meeting a year, how would the students, how would the parents, how would the community address things and change it? Your community's here, and you're not changing anything. So mark my words, if you don't start working with this community, we will control the majority of this board in 2020.
Thank you. Call the next speakers. Thank you. Please be seated. Next set of speakers.
Next groupers.
Good evening. My name is Christian Waples. This is regarding the sex education curriculum. Over the course of an average week, I consistently oversee and monitor 40-plus children. They range from ages 6 to 12. Under my supervision, I have the opportunity to listen and discuss various issues that they're actually dealing with. In a lot of our interactions, we deal with how to creative ways to handle topics such as being bullied, how to treat people kindly, how to take responsibility for the choices that they make, and kids often ask me difficult questions for them. How to deal with the parent getting a divorce, how to deal with someone dying in their family that they love, why they feel lonely or stupid. And this proposed curriculum, specifically regarding the inappropriate sexual education, it's so far removed from the issues that they actually have. The curriculum, it won't solve any existing issue. What it'll do is it'll spark curiosity, and it'll bring forth unnecessary problems for these kids.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Becky Heinrichs. I'm a pastor in San Diego. We have 5 campuses, and I represent 10,000 amazing people in this city. I'm not coming to you as a pastor. I'm coming to you as a parent of a 6, 10, and 11-year-old. The one thing I want to communicate is that sex education should be about biology of a human body, how babies are made, maybe even how to prevent babies being made, how bodies work. That is education. Yet this curriculum has veered from education and biology to an over-sexualized curriculum fueled by a political and sexual agenda. I want to focus on one point that's being taught to 5th and 6th graders, 10 and 11-year-olds. My son stands here. They communicate that mutual masturbation and bathing together is in the no-risk category. I would assume that if you, myself, or anyone in this room were bathing with someone they were sexually attracted to, we would quickly escalate to a high-risk category. We are setting our children up to fail. We are setting them up to be engaged in things that they are not yet mature mature enough to handle. I want to compel you to suspend this curriculum. And if you are not willing to suspend this curriculum, I hope you are willing to fill an army with counselors, therapists, and psychologists. They're going to have to deal with the consequences that come from an agenda that you are approving. Thank you.
Next speaker. Next speaker. Please be seated. Next speaker.
Karen DiGioregi. This is my third school year coming to speak to you and just getting disrespected and ignored. I am so thankful for the many other parents that have stepped into this battle because I'm growing weary. So I just thought I'd have a moment of silence protesting your policies and your practices with regard to this issue and these parents who care so much about the way you're teaching our children.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please come forward. Would you call the names, please?
You know who I am. I am Tanya Daniels, Tonjadaniels for the record. I am representing the People's Alliance for Justice, CARE, and the Racial Justice Coalition. Since it is Black History Month, let me start out with a quote by Langston Hughes. Negroes, sweet and docile, meek, humble, and kind. Beware the day they change their mind. We are standing here before you today because we are no longer going to let you guys sit there and be comfortable with covering up sexual assaults and physical assaults of students on campus. It is time for the world to know what you guys do to parents like us when we complain about legitimate concerns regarding our children. You have sat there and falsely imprisoned my son's father right here. You and Carmina Duran of the Quality Assurance Office. No. He was facing a $100,000 bail and 2 felony strikeable offenses. And I said I'm speaking for a few people here.
We don't allow passing on time. They need to come forward.
I said I'm speaking for a few people here.
They need to come and speak for you.
And that is due because Cindy Martin, you sat up there and lied to a Superior Court judge and had him ejected out of a courtroom when you were on the witness stand, when you were on trial. You and Carmina Duran gathered a lot of your district employees together and lied and made false statements saying that he made criminal threats to your office. And we all know that was not true because he was exonerated because I had the extensive evidence to prove it, that you guys were liars. So we won, and the court granted us favor. We are tired of hearing about the daily violence that continues at Lincoln High, the daily fights. President of the school board, Sharon Whitehurst-Payne, you are aware of that. There are reports that you have been present when there has been fights, and the only thing you can ignorantly say is, why are they fighting in the morning? Not once did you sit there and ask, is all the students okay? Do they need medical attention? Is there going to be any reports about the incidents?
Thank you.
No. Is there going to be any reports about the incidents? And is there going to be any disciplinary action enforced?
Because we will end this.
I'm here to tell you. We are here to tell you that you will no longer sit there and negotiate with any
to come forward.
With any of my coalition. The only negotiations that if you want to speak to us or anybody affiliated with us, we will see you in court. That's for sure. That's number one. Number two, the only only negotiation that we will consider compromising is if there's termination of Principal Jose Soto Ramos of Lincoln High, Vice Principal Maisha Wiggum of Lincoln High, Math Teacher Paul Grimm of Lincoln High, and you across the whole board. We are taking back our children. Lincoln is ours. As a leader, you are supposed to protect them, and you have not. We are taking back our children, and we are reclaiming our stake in Lincoln High. And ain't no devil in hell, like all of you guys, are going to stop it. That's right.
This meeting is adjourned until February 12th.
My name is Richard Robbins, and I'm here representing the People's Alliance for Justice. I'm here with my child, and I'm here to support this individual here, and I'm also here to represent myself. And you people are utterly ridiculous, and this doesn't make any sense. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's all in vain. You only give people 1 minute. You're not doing anything to accomplish anything that the issues that anyone has spoken on, and then you're walking out. So this is all in vain, so I don't have anything further to say. You're ridiculous. Don't worry, your days is numbered. Go ahead.